Do you have to wait 20 years or 30 years to become wildly successful? Heck no. Watch today's video, and I'm going to give you a perfect example. Stay tuned. Frank Thomas here from Wealth Generation Strategies. Today I have a small confession to make. I do watch a lot of YouTube videos. Hey, I love watching and other people's stories and watching what other people do. There was a video that Ken Lam put out. I'll put a link to his video in the description. He put it out a number of weeks ago talking about the elements of his rapid success. I was like, oh yes, you've hit every nail on the head. Whether you know it or not, you really have. And I want to share those points with you today because you can learn to succeed very rapidly. Let me give you a little bit of back evidence here. He was wanting to become a full video editor. He wanted to contract his services out. He didn't want to be an assistant editor or anything like that. He wanted to be a full editor. That's what his goal was. He felt that once he got his training, it would take him about a year to get enough jobs and get enough credibility in the marketplace that he would be taken seriously as an editor and get jobs like that. At the end of the day, he was able to meet his goals. I believe it was including his time to re-educate himself for the knowledge he needed to get. He was getting full editorial jobs when it came to like video editing in 3 months. And I saw all the elements that are critically important to rapid success, because I've witnessed these things in my life. So let's get into them here. So the first one was, Kent had defined goals. He knew exactly what he wanted. He knew what he was shooting for. He had a pretty good idea how much he wanted to make. There were some areas where he wasn't 100% sure, but he had definitive long-term goals and he was able to break them down into short-term goals. He knew that it was going to take him 6 weeks to do his training, and he believed that he would be able to start getting gigs and within about 3 to 6 months become an assistant video editor, and then within 1 year he'd be taken seriously enough that he can get full editorial jobs himself. So that's what his goals were. What he did was he went and discovered what skills he needed that he didn't have. And this is the next point. It doesn't matter how he did it, it's just that he did it. And he was driven, he got it done, and he got it done as rapidly as possible. And he actually made a point, when he really could put himself to it, he actually learned it much faster than he thought he could. He found that once he kind of got the mindset of and the philosophy of what needed to be done in the software, he picked up a lot more things a lot faster. And I found that too. Once I was doing a big installation of tying into Stripe, like the payment system. It was a very complex subscription model that they wanted to put into place. It took me several months, but once I got my headspace in there and I really pounded the pavement on it, I was able to crack the nut because I had to figure out Stripe's philosophy. I believe that the video editing package he's using, I can't remember which one it was, but he had to learn its philosophy. In other words, how did they do things to get things done? So that's very important. The next thing I think is super critical, and he mentioned it, but I don't think he realized the full impact of it. Hey, I could be totally wrong, but the next point here is find a mentor. He was fortunate enough that he actually linked up with a fellow that was much more senior than he was in the profession, and this guy just needed some extra help because he was out of town and he was trying to handle this job. So he passed this job over to this young guy, this Kent, and got him to do the work for him. Turned into a mentorship relationship, and it was fantastic for Kent because he was able to learn very quickly from this fellow. He found that when he started working with other people, he would always open up the door to be mentored, to be shown a better way to do things. In other words, he wasn't too proud to say, oh, I know what I'm doing and, you know, I'm the video editor. He would go, yeah, let's see what you're talking about here. And he would learn new ways, new techniques, new ideas. And he made some really awesome connections because mentors will do that as well. They'll provide you with connections that you need to succeed quickly. The next thing that Kent did, which was really important, was he didn't wait till he was perfect. He didn't say, oh, I can't put myself out there. I can't put my flag out there and say I'm a video editor until I've done this and this and this and until I'm super confident in that. He put his flag out. He felt that he had enough knowledge. He put his flag out. He knew he wasn't perfect. He knew that he had to learn a lot. He knew that he would he had to kill himself sometimes to get to the deadlines that were expected because he still wasn't skillful enough. But he also knew that with these tight deadlines that were imposed upon him in projects, he would learn rapidly. And again, this is something I found within my own career. Make sure you don't wait till you're perfect. Just make sure that you're good enough that you can put your flag out and get something done, even if it's not exactly what you want to be doing. If you meet limitations, don't lie. Be straight up and say, gee, I've never done that before. I'm not entirely sure. You might be shocked and the person will say, well, let me help you. I'll teach you how to do it. That's happened to me on several occasions. Another thing that really struck me about Kent was he just worried about doing the very best job that he could do. He didn't worry about getting paid. He just worried about doing the best that he could do because he knew if he did his best, he'd get the best rewards from it. And that's exactly what he found. He really put himself out there and worked really hard, and he got fantastic rewards because of that. Yeah, so you got to remember, don't be just looking at the money. Look at trying to serve those around you as much as physically possible. That's what's really important here. Before we get to the bonus here, and it's a good bonus, this is one you want to stick around for. Do me a favor, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel today. If you're getting good value from my videos, if you subscribe, you'll see my videos show up in the recommended video feeds of YouTube, and you'll always get the very best of what I can present to you. Let's get into our bonus, and this is a good one. This is one that a lot of people don't, they know, but they don't do, if that makes any sense. Do you ever find that you're always too busy and you're always trying to do too much? The reason why is you don't know when to say no. Kent had to learn how to say no. In my career, I've had to learn how to say no. And it's not that you're being a bad guy. I was presented with a really rich opportunity, and I actually had to, at that moment in time, I knew that it was outside my wheelhouse, and I'm full. I can't take on anything else. For me to take anything else on, I'm going to dilute my efforts everywhere, and I'm not going to be any good to anybody. I had to say no, and I actually said, I'm really sorry, but I'm really busy. I see this as a really great opportunity, but right this moment, I'm going to put it on the back burner, maybe another day, but not today. And I just cut it right away. And that's what he had learned too. Kent learned that he was still doing his full-time job. He was working, I believe he was working as a waiter in a restaurant, was afraid to let go of his job. Even though he was doing really well and he was making probably more as a video editor, he was afraid to let go of that security. And that's just it. We're afraid to let go of what we know and what we're familiar with. Sometimes you have to. If you want to get something better and bigger, sometimes you got to give up something. And in his case, he had to give up his job at the restaurant he was working at. He said in his video, most life-changing things he ever did. After he left, he was able to focus 100% on what he was doing for his new career. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed that. You'll probably see another video coming up right about now. If it hasn't come up, it will come up here in just a second. I like to call it Choosing Your Profession Wisely, Grasshopper. It's a good video. It's something I just put out. Go take a peek at it. We'll see you there.